Chapter 22 Sunny Lands in the Blue Mediterranean. Hans supported me with one arm and my uncle with the other. I was not seriously hurt, but I was shaken and bruised all over. I found myself lying on the sloping side of a mountain, only 2 yards from a gaping chasm. Hans had saved me from death while I laid rolling dangerously close to the edge. "Where are we?" I asked my uncle. "Is it Iceland?" "No," Hans replied. "What? Not Iceland?" my uncle cried. This was our final surprise after all the astonishing events of our wonderful journey. I expected to see a white cone covered with eternal snow rising from the midst of a barren desert of the icy north. But we were sitting halfway down a mountain baked under the burning rays of a southern sun. We were getting blistered from the heat. I could not believe my own eyes, but the heat and the sensation of burning left me no room for doubt. We had come out of the crater half naked, and the sun, to which we had been strangers for 2 months, was now washing over us. When my eyes grew accustomed to the bright light, I tried to figure out where we were. My uncle was the first to speak. "Well, this is not much like Iceland, but there is no northern mountain. There are no granite peaks capped with snow. Look!" Above our heads, at a height of 100 feet or more, we saw the crater of a volcano. At intervals of 15 minutes or so there came loud explosions. There were also columns of fire, mingled with pumice stones, ashes, and flowing lava. I could feel the heaving of the mountain, but at the mountain's base the earth was rich and green. I could see olives, figs, and grape-covered vines. Beyond all this was a wide, blue expanse of sea or lake, which appeared to enclose this enchanting island. Eastward was a seaport village, and in the harbor a few vessels on the softly swelling waves. What a lovely sight after being in the darkness for so long! "Where are we?" I asked faintly. Hans closed his eyes with lazy indifference. My uncle looked around with dumb surprise. "Well, whatever mountain this may be," he said at last, "it is very hot here. The explosions are still going on. Let us get down to safety and find something to eat and drink." "We are in Asia," I guessed. We're on the coasts of India, in the Malay Islands, or in Oceania. We have passed through half the globe." "But the compass," my uncle said. "Oh, the compass," I said, greatly puzzled. "According to the compass we have gone northward." "Could it be wrong?" my uncle asked. Here was something that baffled us completely. I did not know what to say. We were coming into that delightful greenery, and began eating grapes by the mouthful. Not far off, under the delicious shade of the trees, I discovered a spring of fresh, cool water, in which we bathed our faces, hands, and feet luxuriously. While we relaxed, a child appeared out of a grove of olive trees. "Here is an inhabitant of this happy land," I cried. It was but a poor boy. We frightened him with our ragged hair and torn clothes. Just as the poor little wretch was going to run away, Hans caught him and brought him to us. My uncle asked him in German where we were. The child didn't answer. "Very well," my uncle said. "I inferred that we are not in Germany." He asked the same question in English, then in French. The child was still silent. "Now let us try Italian," my uncle said. "Dove noi siamo?" "Yes, where are we?" I impatiently repeated, but there was still no answer. "Will you speak when you are told?" my uncle exclaimed. "Come si noma questa isola?" "Stromboli," replied the little herd boy, slipping out of Hans's hand and running away at last. Stromboli! We were in the midst of the Mediterranean Sea. At the distant blue mountains in the east were the mountains of Calabria. The threatening volcano far away to the south was the fierce Etna. Having entered by one volcano, we had come out of another more than 2,000 miles from Snæfell, and from that barren, far-away Iceland. The strange chances of our expedition had carried us into the heart of the fairest region in the world. We had left the murky sky and cold fogs of the frigid zone to revel under the blue sky of Italy. We set off again to reach the port of Stromboli. We didn't want to startle the natives with our true story, so we presented ourselves as shipwrecked mariners. On my way I could hear my uncle murmuring, "But the compass, that compass, it pointed due north. How are we to explain that fact?" "My opinion is," I replied disdainfully, "that it is best not to explain it. That is the easiest way to shelve the difficulty." Indeed, a scientist of my level unable to explain the cause of a cosmical phenomenon. Why, it would be simply disgraceful. And as he spoke, my uncle, half dressed in rags, was himself again. He was learned and imposing, the stern German professor of mineralogy. We arrived at the little port of San Vincenzo, where Hans claimed his wages for 13 weeks' work, which was counted out to him with a hearty shaking of hands all around. At that moment he showed an emotion very unusual for him. I believe he smiled.